What's happening? What's blapping? Donna Blapped is 1/3 of the Watch Me Develop podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Watch Me Develop podcast. To the right of me, I got none other than John Butcher Jr.
Camera one. Camera one. I only have one camera. What's happening, everybody?
And to the left of me, I got none other than Mr. Ergo Dog himself. Joshua Bonds.
Ergo CEO.
What's up, fam? What's up?
Yeah. So, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. As you see, we got a different little setup. Those of you guys that are watching this on video, those of you guys that are listening to us, maybe while you're out and about, traveling like a javelin, in traffic, on your way to your destination. Shout out to all the Spotify listeners and those that listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google,
Anchor.
All that stuff, man. All that. All those that are our audio listeners. Yes. Thank you for tuning in and rocking with us. But for those of you that are visually checking us out right now, you can see that the setup is a little different. That's because we got a special guest with us in the building. None other than, man, this is a man that could have many introductions, right? He wears many hats, but he's only wearing one tonight.
Hey.
Okay? None other than Brother J. Rich, a.k.a. Jonathan Richardson. Man, we need to do something about our sound effects, man.
Listen, we need to do something about a lot of things, but in the meantime, between time, I'm going to do it in the mic.
We're going to have that buzzer there. It's just...
Yeah.
Like game show.
Jay Rich, say what's up to everybody, man.
What's happening? It's good to be with you this evening, this day, this week, this month, this year, this whenever.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Right, whenever you watching it, huh?
Whenever you're watching.
Wherever you watching it, whenever you watching it is always good, man. Make sure that you guys tune in. Set your notifications. Click that bell. So that way, subscribe. Make sure that you guys get the notifications when we drop our episodes. We drop our episodes every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yes. That would be 9 p.m. for all my people on the East Coast. Those of you that's just Central Mountain Time, that's going to put you at what? 7 or 8? Was it 8?
Something like that.
Something like that. You guys like 2 hours difference.
8
o'clock. 8 p.m.
On the dot.
2
Your
hours.
time.
Woo, Waco.
So,
and then also, to the right of me, we got the host with the most, Mr. A.K.A. himself, Don the Blaptist, the man who needs no introduction, Mr. Consistency. You rocking, bro. You rocking.
Man. I try to do what I can do when I can do it. You feel me?
For sure.
Nah, man, but we here rocking, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got a good show for you tonight. Hopefully you guys will be blessed by the conversation.
Yes.
Because we got Jay Rich here with us, the man of the hour, and we gonna put him in the hot seat tonight, man. Ask him some questions and just kind of pick his brain, man. It's a very unique situation because we were a couple weeks out from elections and voting and stuff like that. And we're going to talk a little bit about what his role is in all of that. So, again, we're going to have a very interesting conversation tonight. Mm-hmm. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage. So, who got the first question? Who's going to ask? Who's going to roll it out?
Yeah, for sure. I got it. I think there's a lot of viewers that are probably watching who don't know, who you are, what you do. But you do a lot. Like Don the Blaptist said, you wear a lot of hats. Can you just, list some of them? You feel me? I know you can't name all of them, but what are some of the things you do, and what are some of the things that you don't do?
Well, freelance graphic designer, videographer, owner of a small business, G2D Design. I founded a nonprofit for at-risk youth called Youth Intercept. Have been serving in the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District for approximately 19 years and 10 months.
And I feel like that's not even everything, but I didn't come in with the stuff, everything written down. But
Well, I can give you more. Serving ministry at Mount Calvary.
yeah,
Boom.
Okay.
Been on the
church.
school board for the last 8 years.
There we go.
Correctional peace officer in the past, now parole agent with the state.
there you go.
Well,
Yeah,
And mentor to mentee.
When do you sleep?
Don't ask any questions.
facts.
I'm actually sleeping now. So when I see you tomorrow, I'll be awake.
why don't you smile? I am smiling.
Oh man. So tell us a little bit about what's coming up and what's on the horizon for November 8th.
Well, contrary to popular belief, we always hear this cliche that this is the biggest election of our time every year.
Yeah.
Honestly, I believe that this year is really that. And I don't mean that just because I'm in the middle of a campaign for re-election to the school board, but basically look at all what's changing across the country. Politics have gone beyond what's purposeful and now have become this manipulative beast of a thing. No heart, no care, no compassion perceived. But oftentimes it's all about an adult issue. And I speak that towards school district. Our primary focus is to serve students.
Yeah.
But when the adult issues begin to eclipse the very purpose for which we serve, the question is what business are we really in? Is it about the pay raise, or is it about the innovation of the classroom? Is it about the advancement of learning, expanding it? Is it about career technical education, where we currently provide about 15 pathways of 59 that are available?
You said 15 pathways of 59 that
Are available.
Okay.
So it requires, for one, to be able to have enough innovation to what I call now develop what's a hybrid career technical education pathway model, which is don't wait until there's funding to develop the path, collaborate where the path is working, and then once there is a demand, build it. Partner with people that are already doing the work. I mean, we all know that in ministry, you partner where the work is happening, and then watch the increase. Don't wait for it. Oh, it'll come here. No, you go, you find it, produce it, and then do the transformational work. That's the job, to be the visionary. Most people don't see the board as a position of vision. They see it as a position of power. Our power is divided by 7. There's no one person that can make a decision. But we have to come to a consensus of what direction do we want education to go in this county. How are we planning to impact these students? How are we planning to impact graduation rates? And how do we charge the superintendent and the staff that report to her with the responsibility of a measurable result? Almost $400 million budget.
Sheesh.
With the responsibility of serving 20,000 plus students, 17 sites, and over 2,000 staff members.
I know that you did a lot of work at Rodriguez, and probably were you on any other campuses outside of Rodriguez at any point in time?
That was primarily it for 11 years.
How do you feel like you relate to the kids and the students that you see and that you're serving in our school district in Fairfield?
So now when we take a look at the evolution of students, the most painful part of this is when you evolve to the point where students are not students that you know personally anymore. So your commitment has to be to the cause and not just the person.
Right.
The motivation came initially in 2003. I'll put his name out there. Dante Baldwin was the catalyst for everything that I've produced that has been that have people who have benefited from my commitment in the community from that one person. And it was a conversation about how do I help you succeed. That turned into him, into a small group, to a small, bigger group, to now where the lineage goes all the way to Josh Buns from 2003 to present. And even recently, I was sharing with Josh, took a flight to North Carolina, and God really challenged me and gave me a mentee in North Carolina just in the last 2 weeks.
Committed to the cause.
Facts.
Sheesh.
So I told Josh, like, I'm not taking no more mentees. It's too much. God says on the flight, okay, watch this. 27, almost 3,000 miles away. Here you go. Here's a kid that needs some representation. Here's a kid that needs some illumination, inspiration. And he needs to know that it's real and relevant enough to happen from 3,000 miles away.
Interesting.
So let me ask you this: how does being an entrepreneur and being part of the school board and being is involved in the community, like how do they intertwine, intersect? Like how do you find a rhythm with being able to be, being involved in so many things? Because I know as an entrepreneur, you do many things, and then there's a whole bunch of moving parts to the fact of because you have a pretty big what is it, a district or a section that you have as far as that you serve in
For the school board?
For the school board, yeah.
Primarily majority of Sassoon.
Yeah, so basically a whole city.
4,700 households.
Okay, so how do you do that and stay on top of your P's and Q's with being an entrepreneur? And
there is no how, it's just do. There's a certain time that you realize that what you were built to do is what you exist for. There is no how. It's just you do what comes to the table at that moment. Painful or not, rejected or accepted. And you just move. I had a close friend share with me one time. I've come to a place of really deep humility when it comes to service, almost to a fault, because I never ever really say what I did. That's never really a statement that I make. Look what I did. Look at what I built. It's usually like, hey, young king, young queen, do your thing. I can't wait to be like you. And that's literally a statement that I have reincarnated from Hill Harper's book, Letters to a Young Brother. Because he talks about how mankind is the latest version. And what the latest version is able to produce should be better than the old. The Model T is not the same as the Camaro today. If you're expecting the Model T to produce what the Camaro today is producing, then you're in for a rude awakening. It was never designed for that purpose. The suspension, the tire, nowhere to compare. So from that is where I literally live and thrive, because I recognize, although someone may look and say, hey, you're further along than I, you have to look at where you are now and the potential of where you could be from this moment of investment. If I drop what I have in your life now with where you are, you should be past where I am today when you arrive at the same moment. But if I choose to hold back, then everything that you were predestined to be as part of your meeting me can't be.
Bruh, I feel like we in here with Master Yoda right now. Just like
No, it all makes perfect sense, because I feel like not even in like people in our age group or whatever, like young men, you ask the person that's further along or a little bit more wiser, like, how do I get to be like you? And it's almost like, I don't want you to be me, I want you to be you, kind of thing. And so you talked before about you already had a bunch of mentees on your plate, kind of thing. How do you best communicate that with them? Is it a matter of just saying, just do it? Or is it a matter of, I don't know, what's the type of advice that you give to your mentees?
What's the practical advice that you
Right.
give to them? Like, just plain practical. Like, for instance, bro, get up at 5 a.m. and, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the practical?
I believe the military probably gave me more of what that is to pass
Oh, so you a veteran too.
than anything else.
So you're a veteran too. You completely left that
I know
out.
that's secret.
Come on, man.
I can't tell you.
Come on, man.
Now I have to
Secret
turn.
Service,
Now I have to turn.
CIA.
I have to turn the mics off and the light off.
Oh
and
man. G14 classified.
Cut the audio. Cut
this
it.
is all over now. It's regiment. It's doing what's painful when it's painful until it becomes no longer painful.
I'm gonna jump in. And I feel like we could share this interview because I've also been, you feel me, like a mentee, and I've seen like the inner workings of Jay's life. Like there's literally days where I pulled up and either helped him into the wee hours of the morning printing shirts when he has his regular day job the next day, and I leave because I got work in the morning, and I hit him up like, did you finish the shirts? Like left him with hundreds of shirts, and the shirts get finished. He's like, yeah, bro, I just didn't. I'm just doing 48. I'm just not sleeping. And I would say like the practical answer to that question is, Jay has made himself available enough to be able to actually see him doing the work. So it's really just allowing someone in to see what doing the work really looks like. You know what I mean? Exposing people to what the work looks like. And shoot, even with my brother Austin or a lot of my homies, we would be over there on the sticks playing video games, and he'd be in the office working. You know what I'm saying? Then go and he'll grab some pizza for us to eat some pizza, and then we out. You know what I mean? So I think really seeing it, I think exposure would be like the practical advice. Like instead of me telling you, let me show you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree, and that's probably been my mantra all along. Is I may not be able to tell you in a way that you're going to be able to absorb it, process it.
I can show you better than I can tell you.
But I can show you and make you exhausted from watching. And then say, if you're looking for anything near what you have experienced, you got to at least do this as minimum.
Yeah.
And even, the sad reality is there's a lot of people that don't even make it even after that exposure. Like a ton. I could probably barely count on two hands out of the hundreds how many actually did something with it. How many actually said, hey, I'm going to run with this. Because for me, I say this a lot, and it's actually just me just being raw 1,000%, is that what are you going to do tomorrow if you hear that I'm no longer here? You've gotten comfortable with the access availability, but I can go out right now and get hit by a truck. Or just not wake up in the morning. And the question is, did I do enough for me to live on through you and what you produce? Miles Monroe says it perfectly. In every seed, there's a tree that produces more seeds that produce more trees until you have a forest. But if you're not producing, then what are you?
Right. Sounds a lot like discipleship, I remember too, like something else I remember seeing is like within seeing the hard work is a lot of the times when you say that there's something you're going to do, when you say that there's something that you want, that you like you set your aim to it, like you visualize like the Beamer.
Oh, the I-8.
Yeah, tell them about that.
Probably, got to think about this. This was like 2012. BMW announced the I-8. I was like in my office like, ooh, boy, that right there is sick. I don't know how much that gonna cost. Let me research. Still didn't have no price. It was like the unveiling. Had models all around and doors popped up. I was like, boy, I'm gonna get that. I went so far extreme in that vision that I bought the die-cast 1/18th model and put it on my counter at the house.
That's not a toy car.
No, it's
The actual model.
the
yeah.
actual
Heavy.
model.
Oh.
Steering wheel turn, wheels turn, doors pop up,
Yeah.
all that. Got it,
How much was that?
like $80.
Okay.
Sheesh.
Got it. I remember going shortly. Actually, I bought that while I was in Florida because I had rented a Maserati because I was like, wonder how this drives. And I got back because I wasn't happy. But then I remember that car while I was having brunch with a couple of friends while I was out there in Florida. And I was like, I'm ordering this. I'm going to have it shipped Amazon to the house. And I think it beat me home. When I got home, the package was there already. Opened it up, looked at it, put it to where I had to pass by it every day.
Mm-hmm.
What's very strange is that it became such a normal occurrence that it almost didn't exist anymore.
It's common.
It was common.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that when I actually went to BMW for the purpose of getting maintenance on another car, the sales rep was like, you can get that car right now. I was like, oh, no, I ain't come for that. Then he told me the price. I said, all right, let's talk. So it gave me access to inspire more. That's always been my mantra. If I can use a tool to show you what's possible and expose you to what was my dream that now manifested, maybe you'll dream and manifest a dream that somebody else can ride in, or that somebody else can walk in, or that someone else can pick up or be impacted by. All that to say, when I actually got the keys to it, got in it, and drove home, it was like it was not even the car because it was so familiar.
Sheesh.
So when I got home, I had forgotten that I had bought the 1/18th scale model until I walked in the kitchen, and then it was like it's here. So I went and took the model and put it outside next to the real one and took a video to just show that if you dream the right way and you pursue the right things, the very thing that you hope for can manifest. No matter if it's there for a season or not. The fact is that if you pursue it with the right heart and intent, God will honor it. And especially if you do it for the right reason. I mean, I can't even count how many times Josh drove that car, pull up, and I'm like, here you go. And he like, me? Here you go.
Yeah.
Because I really believe in if I show you or expose you, it gives you a whole nother, whether that may not even be your thing, but whatever your I-8 is in your life, now you realize what it takes.
Right.
Yeah, and what's crazy about that, even seeing them drive it or driving it, there was all the time it was people that came up to him or would be at the car taking pictures, coming outside the Chipotle, and John just like hang back, let them take their picture, or sometimes ask them, you want to get in it? You want to see what it's like? And me personally, like I'm not that type of cat. I wouldn't get a car like that because I don't want everybody taking pictures of my car. I want people to think I got bread when you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like looking like an easy lick, but he was really
Looking like a lick.
you know what I'm saying? No. Unless everybody else driving that car, I'm not trying to drive it. But he was really driving it and inspiring, and letting people share a part of the dream through exposure, which I think is dope. And I think definitely that's a lot of where just the grasp of what exposure can do, like breeding opportunity.
That's what the whole watch me develop thing is. It was inspired by the whole fact of the developing, like, you know what I'm saying? That's all a part of the process of developing a picture, right? Is you expose the film, right? The negatives are developed into this beautiful, you know what I'm saying, this beautiful photograph. And it's just like you can only you can only succeed to the extent of your development, right? And so exposure is everything, because just like people are exposed to negative things in life, and it impacts them it works in the flip side of that. When you expose people to positive things, like I remember, for instance, with Jericho, the first camp that I ever took him to, which was probably, I want to say, ninth grade. I took him to his first camp, and it was at Sac State. And me not thinking anything about it, I'm like, okay, we're walking up to the stadium, and he's like, I've never seen a stadium this huge before. We've never been to any like big games or anything. And I just saw how big his eyes got to it, and I'm like, bro, this is about to be your every Saturday. This is gonna be you. Like you're gonna be here all the time.
Yeah.
Like in stadiums like this. This is gonna be your norm. And he was like, and he was just never the same after that. Yeah. Like it just completely opened up his mind to like, yeah, this wow. He's like, yeah, I don't ever want to leave here. You know what I'm saying? Even though we went home, I know his mind was he took that with him. And it's because of the fact that he got exposed to something, and that's how it is, man. You get exposed to the right things, and it'll change everything. And you won't even, like, your surroundings don't even seem the same anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, he had the die cast model, and it was just kind of like, it's just normal.
That's interesting you say that, because, like, I was cracking up. I remember that day, too, when he had walked in, was just looking at how big it is. I'm like, this is scratching the surface. Sac State Stadium is not that big.
Right, exactly.
And so it's like him being able to experience the Washingtons, the Oregons with like 90,000 seats and stuff like that. It was like, I'm like really happy for him to see that and like experience that, like you're saying. But for you, Jonathan, was the I-8 diecast model, was that the first of its kind as far as like you putting something in front of you to kind of aspire to do or to accomplish?
Significant, absolutely.
Okay. Now, is there another I-8, quote unquote, in your life right now?
What's your next I-8?
You know, truthfully, I don't think there is. A lot of people have asked that question, like, what's next?
That was just like more of a unique lesson that you kind of learned.
It was just like it was a moment to say this is possible, and it was like a cool season. And it was a season where who needed to benefit from it, benefited from it. And then it's on to the next. I feel now very interesting that we're talking about this, because I kind of felt the need to do more of a entrepreneur like boot camp. To have like these conversations about what it really means, because most people don't really survive entrepreneurship.
Come on, man.
It's like a black hole, because you gotta. I think I even told Josh this once. I don't know. I tell so many people so much. It's like there's times where I leave my office and it's 4 a.m. in the morning. And the inspiration that I get from myself at that early time is that everybody else is resting on a dream. And at least I can go back if I needed to have a moment to say whether it failed or succeeded, that I gave it everything I had. Even, I mean, God has been faithful. G2D turns 20 on New Year's Day. It has survived a recession, 2 recessions, and a pandemic. And I have watched people fold.
Yeah.
In 20 years for sure.
Mic drop.
So, may not be, I mean, I think it's everything that it was supposed to be. I remember telling my mom probably in like 98. Actually, no, it was before then. It was probably like 96. I said, I'm going to have a business in the garage. Well, my vision was in that garage in Texas. That was my vision. Never would I have thought in a million years that God would take that prophetic word of, hey, I'm going to have vision to do a business here. Didn't even really know the context. I just said business. That he would take that and run from about 96 all the way to 2003 and then tell me, now start. So now I have a basis of business, but I come and have to start it in a room that I'm renting from someone else because I don't have my own space. So my bedroom and a desk, I still have the original computer from that room at my office. Because I want to always be reminded this is where it started. And move forward. And it's just been build. Don't know where it's really going to go. But I think that this is just a season that now I get to invest in others and see them go where I never went. And I'm okay with that. Or if it's God's purpose for this to flourish into something extraordinary, now I have the room to invest in what they need to become what they can be, so that is not a barrier or a hurdle for them.
Hey, bro, there's a lot in that. And I remember I think it was last week or a couple episodes before, when you were saying that you don't you have the same desk or something like you take pictures of each build.
Every now and again I take a picture of like my setup just to like remind myself, see how far I've come.
Yeah. And then, bro, it's like, I think there's so much in that, because even now, to say that you were going to have a business in the garage back then, you know what I'm saying, and part of your business is in the garage, like, you one of the only people I know had an i8 and didn't park it in the garage because, you know what I'm saying, because you had business in there, that was making more than the i8 cost. A question I always wanted to ask, I don't think I have asked yet, is like, when it comes down to exposure, a lot of the grit and a lot of the grind, I'm sure we all have those people in our lives that showed us like what was possible. Someone who was getting up early in the morning, day in, day out, when they didn't want to, but they knew that they had to. That kind of like just paved the way for us. Who was that person in your life, like that you modeled, that you were like, you know what, I want to be like that. I want to hustle like that.
It didn't really exist. What happened is my grandmother fueled my service. And the service became such that it became service that I was able to morph into different areas. My grandmother was an Eastern Star. And what I respect about my grandmother, God rest her soul, today, is that she never... I'm not sure why she didn't do it, but I think I understand why. Because this is not a conversation I ever had with her, so I'll never know until I get the glory to say, hey, why did you do that? She never ever exposed me to Freemason. And when I look at it now, because, that's the sisterhood opposite, I'm just, most people, it's almost like a family thing. Like, okay, you're going to do this. But I felt like my grandmother recognized that my identity was not completely tied to her identity and what she did. So it's almost like the person that says they have children, if you're going to go be a garbage man, make sure you're the best one on the planet. So my grandmother showed me what service was. My family showed me what service was unto others. Now you couple that, and you got everybody in my family showing me service. Feeding people, clothing people, giving housing to people, teaching and education. One of my aunts, she was one of the first teachers to desegregate schools in Lincoln Parish, Louisiana. But every family reunion, which happens every second Sunday in June, has for 60 years. She would give me a book and a teacher's guide from Grambling State University and send me back to Texas with it. And I never quite understood why she would do that until one day I was realizing she wanted me to make sure that I could comprehend the way I should be thinking. So I had the student and a teacher's edition of an English book or whatever book she would give me. And it was even through her where I actually ended up learning state capitals, because she would take the time as an educator to tell me to learn certain things on my summer vacation at the family reunion. I'm like, this is what we do? Right. But then she also was the one that took me fishing. You would think the opposite. Uncle would take you. No, my aunt. So going out picking peaches from the orchard, who does that? But these are all exposures.
Exposure, yeah, absolutely.
That gave me a whole view. So now let's just say if we start talking about immigrants, and we talk about the service that they perform, although I just went out for a recreational, I'm going to get me some plums, I have to think about the back-breaking labor that is that impacts that culture, and how many of us can never, ever, ever really say we understand what that is. Yeah. And the pressure of early rising to go and break your back, and then not feel appreciated at the end of the day, or be disrespected in the community, and you just got back from making sure that the grocery store was full, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
So service is what I think fueled what would become a hustle. Matter of fact, I know what it is now. I never even thought about this. So the service component connected with the school fundraisers in elementary school because there were goals. Sell so much stuff, you could get this.
The hat with the straws in it.
Correct. like it's something that you
That
really...
big old stereo.
Like, what are you going to do with this?
Right.
But for me, so I would do that every year, and it would actually irritate my mom because I would go door to door.
Grinding.
So, because I was like, I'm getting that. But I didn't know what at expense until, like, we had to go pick up the stuff from the school when it came in.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, are you freaking serious? Like, almost need to go get a van to bring the stuff home. And now we have to go take it to all the addresses. Because it wasn't like today, like you get it and it's shipped to you. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You get it and you got to take it back.
Yeah. 2 tons of popcorn.
So it was, I think that is where the hustle came, because now there was exposure that you can have this, but the condition was you got to do this. So the one goal, and it still exists. I hope my mom is the most unsentimental person on the planet. She will throw stuff away in a heartbeat. I'm like, why you throw that away? I need that. That's my inspiration. It was a Dallas Cowboy football phone. It was a phone that looked like the football, and you could switch out I guess if you got mad at a team, you could switch it to the next team on the side. Yeah. But that was like the ultimate prize one year, and I got it. So ultimately, the service was fueled by my family, but then I had an exposure through school that showed me what hustle could do.